Stuck between a libertarian and a Republican. Welcome to Publitarian Podcast.
Good Christmas to you all. This is Ronald Johnson, Publitarian, coming at you again with another episode of Publitarian Podcast. Good Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah to my Jewish listeners, and good Kwanzaa to all of my African-American listeners from 2003. We're a week away from actual Christmas Day, but I thought I would get my well wishes out there. As always, the Publitarian beer fridge is humming in the background, providing excellent audio interference to my pristine podcast. And the Publitarian beverage of the day is a Cuba Libre, which I have not had in a while. It's basically a rum and coke with lime in it. But the name Cuba Libre just sounds way more fancier. We are up to episode number 64, and this episode is going to be continued holiday ramblings, it seems. There's a lot going on in the news. And I was going to do an interview episode, and that fell through. So I will be catching us all up on some news of the day and doing my holiday ramblings instead. Of course, the big news in the political sphere is the IG report has finally been released. And the left side of the aisle all took a victory lap because Inspector General Horowitz said that he could find no political bias with the FBI as predication for starting their investigation. And your own humble Tier 1 podcaster's take on this, and I haven't been hearing this from any other source. Everybody seems to be missing the forest for the trees. Horowitz, in my humble opinion, is a DC swamp rat. He's trying to blunt the sharpness of the knife as he's digging it in to the Democrats and the left and the political establishment and the admin section of the FBI and the CIA. So what he's trying to do here is just blunt the blow as he's putting the knife in, because he has to put the knife in. What everybody is missing is Horowitz is saying that he could find no political bias. Well, I'm going to agree with Horowitz there, believe it or not. I do not think that this was politically motivated. I think the DNC, well, the swamp, I won't even say the DNC, the swamp hates Donald Trump. They hated Donald Trump, and they continue to hate Donald Trump. This is not motivated by politics, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump took out their chosen one, their anointed one. This is not political. The swamp is not political. The FBI upper echelon admin is not political. Yes, they move in the left political sphere, but I agree with Swamp Rat Horowitz on this. I don't think this was politically motivated. They just wanted to take Trump out. No politics. They just don't want Trump in there because they can't control him. And he is threatening to dismantle this political system, this power structure that has taken them decades and decades to form. This is not politics, ladies and gentlemen. This is a religion to them. This is a power structure. This is a way of life. This is something they sign up for and they are committed to. And what I've said before on people on the left side of the aisle, there's two explanations for people on the left. They are either drinking the Kool-Aid or they are serving the Kool-Aid. And what I mean by that is they either believe the bullshit that their side of the political aisle is telling them and just lap it up wholeheartedly, or they are the distributors of the bullshit. They're either drinking the Kool-Aid or they are serving the Kool-Aid. There's no option C with the left. So there are these people in the upper echelons of power at the FBI, James Comey included, that I think have been drinking the Kool-Aid for so long that they actually do believe they are on some kind of holy and righteous mission to take out Donald Trump, because he is all of these things that they have perpetrated him to be, because that's how it is in their mind. That's the cognitive dissonance that's happening. So they are on this holy, righteous mission to take him out. And like I said, I do not think it is motivated by politics. This is just pure, unadulterated hatred and self-preservation of the power structure that they've created. So I think that was intentional word salad and misdirection on Horowitz's part. So anyway, you got these knuckle knobs like Comey on Twitter, who is just this schmarmy schmuck on Twitter, taking a victory lap. Like he's running and celebrating with this. Like this is a win for their side of the aisle, that the IG report says there's no political bias. He's like, yep, see, look, just good Americans trying to do their job. We all know the bullshit, Jim. You're not fooling anybody. Well, you're not fooling anybody on this side of the aisle anyway. That IG report, I'm not going to bore you guys and do the whole podcast on the IG report, but if you go through this thing and pick it apart, there are so many landmines in there. Like I said, Horowitz is trying to mitigate the damage and blunt the instrument as much as he can, but he still has to report the findings. There's sections in there where he admits to the FBI putting more inaccuracies into their FISA documents just so they know for sure they can get the warrant to spy on Donald Trump and his campaign. And what he's calling inaccuracies, us on the ground would call lies. So the FBI in these documents, and it's been well documented anyway, before the IG report, lied. They lied so they could they lied and then they spied. I'm getting all preacher up in here. The FBI lied and then they spied. So they lied, they spied, and Horowitz is also calling them CHSs, confidential human sources. Those are spies. That's what you call a spy. So the FBI lied, they spied. And what common everyday people like you and me are saying is, when is somebody, anybody at this point, when is somebody going to be held accountable for this? Because what happens is people on our side of the aisle, we keep throwing stones over and looking underneath these stones and finding facts and going, here, look, world, here's what the other side of the political aisle has been doing. Here's what the DC swamp has been doing. Here's what they've been engaged in. Exactly. Nothing. Somebody is going to have to perp walk. Somebody is going to have to fall on the sword. And I think James Comey and the CIA, the old CIA director, Brennan, are just trying to beat each other to the idiot finish line to see who's going to fall on the sword first. Because what happened is the CIA started this sham investigation on Trump, and the FBI were pretty much willing accomplices. Now, the CIA, under Brennan, told a bunch of horse crap to the FBI to get this ball rolling. But I am not exonerating the FBI from any wrongdoing. They wanted to be duped. You can see in the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, they wanted to be duped. They wanted this to be true. Because, again, they hated Trump. They hated him. How dare someone with no political pedigree come forward and dare to challenge their power structure? And that's what a lot of these DC elitists are. They're like these blue blood upper crusts, never had a real job people that look down their nose upon the rest of America, all the red in the map. So you have these coastal blue elites looking down on everybody else that's red. And that's pretty much what's going on. And like I said before earlier, Trump was challenging all that. He was challenging the power structure. And that's why they had to take him out. And think about this. I didn't mean to make this a Trump-heavy episode, but think about Donald Trump and this whole situation for a minute. He had not only the U.S. intelligence agencies, he also had friendly, supposedly, intelligence agencies, Australia, the UK, Italy, like what they would call the Five Eyes intelligence. The world's intelligence collective microscope shoved up his ass for 2 years, and they didn't find anything. They kept renewing those FISAs because they thought they were going to find something on Trump, something, anything to take him out. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's how clean he is. You may not like his style. You may not like his tweets. You may not like how he conducts himself or his affairs or his business. But you know what you can accuse him of? Being dirty. You know how I know? Because the world was looking for a reason and they couldn't find one. So they had to fabricate evidence in these FISAs to keep the spying going, hoping there was just some kind of shred of something they could find on him. And he was clean. Think about that. They got emails, phone calls from Trump, candidate Trump, and President Trump. And this is the biggest spying scandal ever. And it's just not being treated as such. Conservatives are still on the defensive while we're getting punched instead of going, no, assholes, you spied. You were the ones that did the dirty here. And like I said, for all you Q people out there that think there's some big house of cards that Trump is doing or some 4D chess, God bless you. Again, I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. But for normal, everyday Americans, we're tired of seeing this. We're tired of seeing people on the elites just get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with and just walk away and nothing happen. So I hope and pray that there is a reckoning coming, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I mean, I'm not going to sell you a bill of goods here. I'm hoping it's going to happen, but I don't know if it is. But anyway, so that's the Schiff show that was the IG report. Now, speaking of the IG report and the FISA abuse and the spying of Donald Trump and the Russian collusion hoax blowing up in everybody's faces, I don't know if I can report this as humor or tragedy, but nobody else seemed to pick up on this, and I found a lot of humor in this. So here we go. From The Guardian, December 12th, 2019. Britain needs its own Mueller report on Russian interference. Now, Boris Johnson in Great Britain has colluded with Russia. Because if you don't know, if you're not aware, there was a landslide victory for the Conservatives in Great Britain. Overwhelming now. Boris Johnson is Prime Minister, and they have a huge Conservative majority, and they're finally going ahead with Brexit. So what's the popular talking point when something like that happens? Russian collusion. So this Guardian story, I'm not even to the humorous part yet. This Guardian story by Glenn Simpson. I don't know if you recognize that name or not. Glenn Simpson. So Glenn Simpson and Peter Frisch. If you don't, let me just tell you. Glenn Simpson used to work for Fusion GPS. If you don't know that company name, Fusion GPS is the author of the Clinton Oppo research that the CIA used to set the FBI loose on Donald Trump. In other words, just paid political bullshit by Hillary Clinton. Glenn Simpson wrote that Russian collusion bullcrap about Donald Trump. Glenn Simpson is now writing opinion pieces in The Guardian about Russian collusion with Boris Johnson. But wait, it gets better. Glenn Simpson also wrote an article in 2007 in the Wall Street Journal about John McCain, presidential candidate back then, colluding with Russia. So Glenn Simpson, I swear, has got to be the laziest guy in journalism. He has this Russian collusion thing, and he literally copy-pastes names and sticks in there. Matter of fact, let me just tell you, that's the dirty little secret that nobody's getting to. I think this guy, Glenn Simpson, just copy-pasted and took John McCain and put Donald Trump and was like, hey, sounds good. And he looked at the players in Donald Trump's sphere. Hey, look, there's Carter Page, there's Paul Manafort. We already got these guys. Hey, Russian collusion. Here we go. Literally how this was started, in my humble opinion. And now he's doing it again with Boris Johnson. This is freaking hilarious. I don't know how anybody would be taking this guy seriously as a journalist. So Glenn Simpson, the author of not one Russian collusion conspiracy, but 3 now, counting Boris Johnson.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
Of course, further humor of this is that literally everybody has colluded with Russia except for Donald Trump. That's what's great about this. The great Limbaugh always says that whatever the Democrats are accusing the right of, it's because the Democrats have already done it and trying to cover up what they have done in that arena. And that is so spot on. And Trump has also, according to the left, abused his power somehow by actually doing what's in the Constitution and investigating through the executive branch high crimes and misdemeanors of people. And they're just trying to find something, anything. What's great, and I'm sure you guys have seen the news on this, is politicians are jumping ship on this impeachment fiasco that's also going on at the same time as this. So the House is moving forward with articles of impeachment. You've got one Democrat congressman confirmed switching to Republican Party. You've got another Democrat switching to independent. And you have another Democrat saying that he's not going to vote for the impeachment. And of course, all the Republican senators are solid. And it just looks like the impeachment ship is going down. Nothing would give me greater pleasure, actually, to have this impeachment go through and then have Trump and his bulldog lawyers go into the Senate and start subpoenaing people to show up, like Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and just turn the whole tables against them and just bring this whole thing down. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that would be great if it did. But you know what? Let me play devil's advocate for a minute here. Let's strip all of this away and just say, for the sake of argument, that the Democrats and Shifty Schiff are 100% correct. And that Donald Trump was using his power somehow to investigate a political opponent. So, why was it okay for Obama and Hillary to do that to Trump and his team? What do you call that whole shit show from 2015 and 2016 moving into 2017 with President Trump? Investigating political opponents and actively seeking to tear them down. Why does Obama and Hillary get a pass for doing that? Oh, well, they're just doing their patriotic duty. Okay, what's Trump doing then? Do you have an insight into his mind? Now, I'm not saying any of this left-wing stuff is correct. I'm saying strip it away and just take that talking point and assume that it's correct. I would argue back, so he's investigating a crime by Joe Biden. Good. That's what he should be doing. He's in the executive branch. That's what the executive branch does. Anyway, time will tell what will happen with the whole impeachment fiasco. I do have a spoiler alert for the liberals. Donald Trump's not going anywhere. Impeachment does not mean removal from office. I've said that before on other podcasts. At the absolute worst case scenario, you'd get Mike Pence. And he's like a hardcore conservative. So anyway, out of the frying pan into the fire for the liberals. And Godspeed.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Anyway, I think that will do it for me today on this edition of Publitarian Podcast. Thank you for listening to my holiday ramblings. If you want to reach out to me, you can. I am on Instagram as Publitarian, of course. You can DM me. A lot of people do. That's mostly how people reach out to me. But I'm also on all the other social media platforms, Minds, Gab, Parlay. And then you can email me at publitarian@gmail.com or thepublitarian@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to yet another holiday edition of Publitarian Podcast. I'm Ronald Johnson, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
listening to Publitarian Podcast. Copyright 2019.